Hey everyone, it's Dexum, and here's the Cosmic Trial video for Venom. Venom overall was a very interesting character. He has several talents that allow him to go into stealth, and he has a decent mix of melee and ranged abilities. One of his interesting mechanics is that once you're past 30, you can transition abilities that use biomass to use health instead. These abilities generally are a lot stronger, and most of them take between 4% and 5% of your health per use. I found without them, and being undergeared, Venom didn't have enough damage to pass the Cosmic Trial, but he did put out some heavy damage numbers once I switched biomass to using health instead. It also helped so I wouldn't run out of biomass. A lot of his ranged abilities are kind of similar as well. While I really liked Terrain Toss because it could pierce through many enemies, for this build I decided to use Tendril Impale because it has a lower cooldown, and it synergizes really well with Writhing Tendrils, as Writhing Tendrils will weaken enemies, and Tendril Impale will do 50% more damage versus weakened enemies. I also removed Symbiote Strike from my bar entirely in favor of Writhing Tendrils, because while Writhing Tendrils takes 4% of your current health per attack, it does a lot of damage and keeps applying weakness. And it also can pierce through enemies as well, which is really helpful whenever you want to focus a boss but hit everything in its way. I also tested a few other options as far as builds go, and one of those builds used the talent Camouflage Beatdown, which changes Symbiotic Spikes into We Are Everywhere. While We Are Everywhere is a good ability to use defensively, Symbiotic Spikes just does a lot more damage. And it pulls enemies to you, which is a really good crowd control, and it's good to herd enemies as well, so you can follow up with other heavy hitting abilities and hit a lot more enemies. Lastly, as usual, I was mostly undergeared here. Most of my gear was in the 40s and the 50s, and for the most part I prioritize critical hit rating and brutal strike rating. Mostly for the Cosmic Trial, I focus on main attributes for my gear. But Venom has an ability called We Are Venom, which will proc when you use Symbiotic Spikes once you take the talent Symbiosis. The toughest thing I encountered about this Cosmic Trial was that when Venom goes stealth, the bosses will go back to their spawn points, and that will pull them away from crowds of enemies and split up the AoE damage that you'll be doing. Take a look at the video and notice that my strategy was mostly to focus the bosses down, and if possible to put some enemies in between you and the boss so that you'll be able to hit all of them at once. Follow this handy little guide and you'll pass the Cosmic Trial with no problems. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. Good luck at passing the Cosmic Trial. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in game.